Hey, podcast listening people, welcome to B2b Mentors. It is Monday, which means marketing mentors on a Monday. We're doing this podcast, and I have a real treat for you, a guest that I have behind the scenes I'm going to bring up in just a moment. So stick around, make sure you like this, make sure you share it, drop a comment. And again, sharing is important. If not even for you, I guarantee you there's somebody in your network who's going to get great value out of this information. You can also find the podcast on all of your favorite podcast apps. Just look up B2b Mentors. You'll find us. We've got lots of great uploads, talks, short clips, as well as these guest interviews that I am proud to bring to you, including my new friend, Jennifer Zick, who is a 40 under 40 awardee, founder and CEO of Authentic Brand, a Minneapolis-based fractional CMO firm serving clients across the US as a pioneer in the fractional marketing space, which I agree with you, Jennifer, is passionate about helping companies grow, overcome random acts of marketing, and achieve next level growth and revenue results. And I would say you're great at helping others build business opportunities as well. It's kind of the beauty of this fractional CMO type business that you've built, and we'll definitely dive into that. But with that, welcome, Jennifer. Good to see you.
Thank you, Connor. I'm delighted to be here with you and your listeners.
What led you, my friend, into the wonderful world of marketing and CMOing, I guess? I think that's a word. It's a new word.
That is a new word. I'm going to use it again. Well, my tale is one as old as time, which is my life's path hasn't been a straight road by any means. It's been through exploration and good fortune that I've kind of wound my way to where I am today. I ended up in marketing because I came out of college not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I had a broadcast journalism focused communications degree, but one internship in that space helped me know I did not want to pursue that career, but then I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I didn't have a lot of professional guidance around me. I was a first generation college graduate in my family. And so I just launched out into the world and took the first job I could find, which taught me a lot about what I didn't want to do, and then started learning how to network. And it was in learning how to network and meet wonderful, generous people that I navigated my way into my first marketing sales support role. And at that time, it was the early 2000s. And I was working for a little web development company, and I just fell in love with how my communications background married up with new advancements in technology that helped businesses compete. And I really stayed the course in that professional services, marketing innovation space throughout the rest of my career, moving from sales to sales management to marketing leadership and executive marketing roles. And I just was a collector of relationships and experiences along the way. So how I turned my career from being a marketing leader to building a team of marketing leaders really came through a catalyst event. It was my first ever job loss. Just over 5 years ago, I was let go from a team that was bringing in new investors, a Bay Area company that was struggling with some of their kind of acquisition integration activity. And my role was one that was cut. And it felt really personal, but it ended up being a real blessing because it gave me just enough time and courage to take the entrepreneurial leap. So that was the birth of Authentic Brand 5 years ago. And here we are.
I love those stories of entrepreneurship, and almost often it's like, man, this happened and I got let go, or something tragic happened, and like I wouldn't be in this business or this position now if it wasn't for that. What was it about your original internship that, kind of steered you away from that avenue?
Oh, goodness. I consider it a great blessing of fate that I was redirected before I pursued that career. I have always been a performer. I was a student in performing arts growing up, right? So being on the stage and in the spotlight was something that just came naturally to me, and journalism seemed to make sense. But my first little internship was with a little affiliate station in a small town in Minnesota. Day one, the anchor woman in that small affiliate satellite station sat me down and gave me the opposite of a pep talk and said, "You think you're going to be big in this world, but for every cute little brunette like you, there's thousands of others trying to make it. And I want you to know right now, you're never going to." And then, and then they sent me out with the other unpaid intern into the news van to go chase a tornado and risk our lives. And I thought, you know what? There might be a better path for me. So I did the internship for the rest of the summer and actually got a lot of great experience and stories out of it. And then just decided I'm going to find a different path. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be a better way to make a living than this grind.
But did you get the tornado shot? Is the question we all want to know.
We got hailed on. We got whipped around in the news van. We were a little bit afraid for our lives. I'm not sure that we actually captured a funnel that day.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, and something else you mentioned, I think, is what just interviewing and talking to so many great marketers out there. And if you're interested, we have students that listen to this and interns and all the way from there to like very high level marketing executives, is having that background in communications and PR, but also in sales makes you like a deadly combination for senior marketing, positions down the road.
Yes. Well, and how I tripped into the sales world is interesting too. So when I directed my career search away from journalism, I really just took the first job I could get out of college as a communications major. And not to date myself, but this was at a time when the internet was still relatively new and people weren't applying for jobs or posting jobs on the internet. We were applying through like newspaper advertisements and by mailing our resumes in via snail mail, right? So my first job that I landed was to be a recruiter for people who did credit card collections. It was a miserable job in a miserable company, selling a miserable role to people who were good, had good intentions. And I was there to convince them to take a job that would really suck their soul. And I did really well at that. And so I was only in that company for 6 months before it sucked my soul. But in that role, I learned I was really good at sales. But I also learned that I could never sell something I didn't believe in, that I couldn't stand behind and that I didn't believe was going to bring good things to the world and to the people I was selling it to. So it was out of that experience that I learned, my communications background can make me a powerful force for selling, but I need to sell something that's honest and that I believe in and I can stand behind. And it was with some of those fundamental learnings that I found my way into the web space and the digital and the innovation space and started to build a career. So my advice for every young student, an intern or early stage career person is just don't get too wrapped up in feeling like you have to know where your path is going. Like take every single experience you get as just something that teaches you more about what you do want and don't want. And then keep just redirecting your life a little bit more toward what you do want. And good things will keep coming.
It's never really like a loss or a failure as much as like you either win or you learn.
Yes, and
one of the
winning.
two.
That's right.
Very true. Absolutely. I've had a number of high level CMOs recently who have gone like in their career. I mean, they're entrepreneurs, right? They've gone through their career. They've never sent a job application anywhere, and they've gone through multiple successful exits in companies with equity and a lot of huge successes. And one thing that they've always or have mentioned often is networking. And you mentioned earlier, like you got really good at networking. What does that mean?
Oh, goodness. If I could have even told my younger self how important it was, what I was investing my time in then, I'm so grateful I did. So for me in my 20s up through my early 30s, networking for the company I was representing meant being out at local and regional events, representing our brand and building trust and making friends. And so I attended a lot of business events, industry events, and also marketing and sales leadership and leadership development. And I just got out there. I was kind of known in the Twin Cities in that era as being the person you would see everywhere. I just loved meeting people. And I was really adamant about the follow through because I wanted to make sure that I didn't just meet them once, but that they turned into relationships in my network. And funny thing, because then in my 20s and early 30s, the people I was meeting were mostly my peers. They were people of great ambition, but not a lot of influence or decision-making authority. But now they're all older like me, and they all have budgets and decision-making authority. And the relationship seeds that I planted then are really what has helped to launch my business now. 5 years ago, when I, hung my own shingle to start Authentic Brand, it was the friendships I've been building for 20 years out of goodwill, follow through, promises kept, connecting people with asking nothing in return. That is what builds a career and turns into building a business. So I'm really grateful that was a little bit intuitive to me, and that good people came around me and taught me what the value of networking was early in my career.
Do you still and by the way, Jennifer keeps mentioning the age thing, but she won't tell you she's not a day over 29. So like, just so you guys know, listening and when you see this video, but the relationships you're building, back, do you still, like, at this point, do you do business? Because I don't know, like, were you going into those relationships like, I got to sell something, I'm trying to network to like close deals, or you just intuitively knew that I don't know where these relationships are going to go, but they may go somewhere down the road and, in the future?
It was a little bit of both, Connor, because at that point in my career, I was in sales for a little web development company that turned out to be a large player in the Salesforce.com ecosystem, implementing Salesforce. That's how our business grew. So I was part of that company for 13 years here in the Twin Cities, from the founding team, where we were building relationships locally, to the point where we had 125 employees around the country and clients around the world. So I was in sales, which meant sometimes I was out networking to do business development, and sometimes I was out networking to build brand awareness, and sometimes I was involved in associations and memberships to build my own learning and growth. And all of those relationships, I can look back to every place I interacted. From every single corner, there's somebody who's still part of my life and my network, either as a friend, an advisor, an advocate and referral source, a current client, or a potential prospect. All those seeds planted are continuing to turn into new opportunities in my world in ways I could have never anticipated, but for which I'm incredibly grateful.
People try to overcomplicate it, but the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And not even that it's about money, but just opportunity and relationships. And you never know where it's going to go. Like, people I've connected with, 5-6 years ago, nothing happened. We've kept in touch, and now we're doing, deals together or something like that. So
yeah, we talk about it as the dandelion effect here at Authentic Brand. And I teach my team as part of our culture. It sounds corny, but I like visualizations. I'm like, we need to be spreading hearts and dandelion seeds everywhere we go. And what that means is, like, if somebody interacts with Authentic Brand anywhere along the line, even if they're not an ideal client for us, even if they will never be a client for us, we want that person to come away feeling seen, heard, valued, loved, appreciated, and supported. Because in giving goodwill back into every stakeholder who touches into our brand, we create an ecosystem of these little dandelion seeds all around us that come back. They come back in ways that you didn't expect. And some of them turn into really meaningful revenue that helps us keep growing. So yeah, that's how we think in terms of hearts and dandelion seeds.
I like it. Speaking of growing, what are you up to with Authentic Brands now, specifically from 5 years ago, taking the big, hairy, scary leap into the entrepreneurial journey to where you're at now? What is Authentic Brands? What are you guys all about?
Yeah, so Authentic Brand was founded from my kitchen table just over 5 years ago in March of 2017. So we just celebrated 5 years. I knew when I decided to start a business that I was building a company of people. I didn't intend to be an independent consultant and then think about scaling. I knew I'd build a team, but I knew that to do that, I would need to bootstrap and be the consultant for the front end and to earn the revenue to seed capital into my business to grow. So for about 18 months, I was a consultant at Authentic Brand, building our approach, our methodology, and starting to bring in fractional chief marketing officers, CMOs. What we do today is we're a team of 24 and growing fractional chief marketing officers who help growing businesses to overcome random acts of marketing and confidently take the next right step in building healthy growth for their business. So the way we're growing, boy, it sure evolved during COVID. We went from being a purposefully local team with local employees and mostly regional clients. It had always been my intention that in 2021, when we were 3 years old, we would start to grow a national footprint. I originally expected that we would do that by moving into an adjacent market, like perhaps Chicago, and hiring CMOs and business development there. But COVID took us on a different growth path, and it's been good, but different. We grew nationally overnight instead of into one region at a time. We started hiring nationally, and our entire team and our cultural footprint changed. And today we're very much a company that works nationally, sometimes globally. And our employees are across the country, but we still have a really strong concentration of CMOs and clients here in the Twin Cities metro area. So it's been so fun to navigate what growth looks like and how to use the upside down world we all faced during COVID to reimagine growth. So that's what we're doing. We're just helping our clients and continuing ourselves to reimagine what growth looks like and take the next right step.
And do your CMOs even work with a client because they're based regionally to them, or is it more based on their particular expertise and kind of industry focus that you're able to more match them up nationally or internationally, no matter where they're at?
Yes, most of our work is done remotely. And COVID certainly helped to accelerate the adoption of that idea and teams collaborating remotely and being really effective that way. So we always make the right fit CMO match based on the fit to the business need and the relevant business model experience. We don't even fit first by industry experience. So many clients think that they need somebody with acumen in their industry, like specific industry, let's say construction. But the reality is not every industry has been very progressive when it comes to marketing. And so some industries have not produced modern CMOs that have the right mentality and structural approach to how to build a high performing marketing team. So we hire in kind of three kind of categories of CMO talent, and then we match to the business model experience needed, and then come alongside with our mind share, which is all of our CMOs from across business models and industries, helping strategically support one another to really accelerate client accounts. So the three kind of CMO types and personas, if you would say, that we hire for are really, we have CMOs with deep expertise in high tech and SaaS and technology, complicated technologies. We have other CMOs with a lot of depth and experience in B2C, e-commerce, direct to consumer marketing or through channels. And then there's more like the generalists around kind of the other industry categories of business, manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, kind of broad and diverse industry backgrounds, primarily B2B. So those are kind of the buckets of talent, if you will.
So guys, there's kind of two things as you're listening to this, like I want you to pick up on, and I want to dive into, more of the strategy and as if we're talking to these other businesses who are struggling with their marketing, but also to the entrepreneurs. And I know there's many number of consultants in our audience. What Jennifer did correctly in the beginning is she built her business for scale and for exitability, even though, you may not be exiting or selling the business, you're setting it up properly in that format, versus what most consultants do is they just go into entrepreneurship, but they create another job for themselves. And, they are the whole deliverable versus actually building a team, building processes. And so shout out to you for like just recognizing that in the very beginning, but I also want other people to like pick up on that fact.
Yes.
I think it's really important.
Thank you. And there's nothing right or wrong about choosing to be an independent consultant if that's truly what brings your heart joy and that's what you want from your life. But it's very different than building a business, right? And it was important to start with the end in mind and to understand what I want out of this. And I feel really fortunate that the experiences I had before starting Authentic Brand gave me a collection of different kinds of playbooks about what it looks like to scale a business. And I feel like I had an entrepreneurial roadmap from those experiences to choose from, to say, if I start a business, what do I want it to be, to stand for, to do in the world, and to mean for myself as an owner? And it's from that basis that I built the infrastructure. And I do consider it my primary job at Authentic Brand to fire myself from all the jobs until I achieve my highest and best impact for my business, which is as the chief evangelist and CEO visionary. So as of today, I have fired myself from almost every job in the company. 18 months into the business, I became pure overhead, no longer billing my time. That was a big leap of faith. And today I am the CEO and also the fractional marketing leader still for Authentic Brand. And I cannot wait to fire myself from that job too.
Well, yeah. And no, not that there's absolutely anything wrong. If you're an independent consultant and you're like in an organization like Authentic Brand, but if you're looking to build a consulting business and actually build a company, it takes, and we talked about this last time, I think you mentioned EOS, right? And so is that EOS practice that's led you to, scaling and kind of firing yourself the way you mention it? Is that the framework that you follow for the most part?
Yes, it is. Yeah. EOS, or the Entrepreneurial Operating System, based on the book Traction by Gino Wickman, is a powerful framework for growth businesses to organize their vision, what it looks like, their end state, key milestones they hope to achieve along the way, and then structure their business to get there. It really helps centralize an owner and their leadership team on the big why we're in it, how we're going to get there, and what accountability looks like throughout the organization. So I was fortunate enough, the company I mentioned earlier that I worked with for 13 years, we were early adopters of EOS in that business. And it was a real catalyst to organize our otherwise unexperienced selves, get on the same page, and achieve some really amazing traction. So at day one, kitchen table, me, myself, and I building my EOS vision traction organizer. Yes, EOS has been central to how we've structured and operationalized and scaled our business. And there are other books along the way that I've read that helped me think through my ownership goals. One of those books is called Built to Sell. It's a great read for professional services or agencies to understand what does it look like to build value in your business. And then one other note is that a lot of consulting firms or consulting teams have built their organizations with a small operating team and then 1099 consultants and independents. We actually made a very different decision 2 years ago to pivot Authentic Brand and commit our growth model to being a highly invested operating leadership team and teams, and a W-2 consultant model. So all of our CMOs are employees of Authentic Brand, which allows us to make true our promise that we deliver quality service through a proven methodology that they're trained on, they're equipped on, and our mind share actually matters because they get together every single week, our whole team of CMOs, and they share strategies and tools and best practices. And that makes us all smarter and stronger and faster. And that impact is felt by our clients in a way that they wouldn't get from a loosely connected band of 1099 providers.
Earlier, you mentioned random acts of marketing, which is a term that I resonate well with. What the heck is random acts of marketing? What does it mean? Why do you emphasize it, so heavily?
Our tagline, which is overcome random acts of marketing, I consider to be a little gift from the universe to me. It came to me in sales conversations early in Authentic Brand's growth. I still have the good opportunity of meeting with a lot of our prospects and clients along the way, but in the early days, it was all me in every meeting, usually with the founder and CEO of a business and perhaps their CFO or COO integrator. And the conversations were varied. There were always a lot of unique things going on in these businesses. But one day I threw out a phrase that just came out of me, which was random acts of marketing. And the CEO and the CFO looked at each other and their eyes got huge. And I knew I'd struck a nerve. And so I tried that phrase again in future sales meetings, and the same reaction kept. People would either laugh uncomfortably or look at each other in shock. And it was like I saw into their business. And so random acts of marketing looks like a lot of things, Connor. But if I were to summarize, now that we've worked with almost 100 businesses across industries, business models, and sizes between, usually 5 million to 100 million in revenue is our target audience. The one thing these businesses all have in common is that they have been attempting to do marketing at the tactical level. They've been doing a lot of things and spending money and experimenting their way through marketing with all the best intentions. But ultimately, as the scale increases, they find themselves more and more frustrated by the lack of understanding about how those investments are impacting their growth strategy. What's the ROI? How long should they be trying these different tactics? In what order? How to prioritize? Everything is kind of noisy and shiny objects in the land of tactics. And so unfortunately, with the evolution of marketing that's happened in the last 20 years, with the explosion of tools and different channels and different tactics, businesses are just simply confused. It's a really noisy ecosystem. And so the trial and error gets frustrating. And that's what random acts of marketing is. It's the frustration that we can't scale if we continue to do things this way with any level of confidence that we're aiming our marketing resources in the right direction. And so that's where Authentic Brand enters with, truly proven, wise, experienced executive leaders on a fractional part-time basis, backed up by a proven methodology that turns that situation back around to starting at the high level business strategy, drilling down to the foundational elements of building a strong brand, then to channels, then to tactics, and organizing that work in a really pragmatic way for the business to understand the results. So that's why we exist, is help companies stop wasting time and money guessing at how to build a marketing team and program.
How do I, as a marketer or a owner operator overseeing my marketing activities, like what are the biggest mistakes I'm making that are leading to these random acts of marketing?
Yeah. It's not even necessarily mistakes as much as it is you get to a tipping point where you need to move from being a startup and a formative business to a functional and fast forward growth business. To get there means getting strategic in your marketing. So most business founders and owners haven't done anything wrong. They just get to the point where they can't keep doing what they're doing and have it be right anymore. So almost all entrepreneurial businesses start off as founder-led, sales-driven. They have to sell something to exist, and they have to sell enough of something to have a market fit and to know where to focus their efforts, right? But that's only the beginning of existing as a business. And it's about at that point that they start thinking, we know what we're selling, let's accelerate it with throwing some marketing at it. And the next thing that they, let's call it a mistake, the next mistake a lot of entrepreneurial businesses make is that they want to tuck marketing in with sales so that the organization at this point looks like a CEO, head of operations, head of finance, and somebody who's the head of sales and marketing. And in fact, there are a lot of operating systems that create this expectation that that model works. We disrupt that assumption by saying that model doesn't work. When you need to strategically grow your business, marketing needs its own seat at the leadership table. There's a difference between marketing leadership and sales leadership. And almost 99% of the time, if you have a sales and marketing leader, they are a sales manager with a sales team. And they need to have a marketing peer, not marketing within their department, because the natural lens of a sales leader is different than the natural lens of a marketing leader, and they need to work together jointly in partnership to advance the business. So we're really big believers that any business over 5 million in revenue needs to have an executive seat at the table for a truly experienced marketing leader. But we also believe it doesn't have to be a full-time role to bring a significant impact to the business.
How are you doing it yourself? What are your practices for just, not only being a good educator, but a good practitioner of, B2B marketing yourself?
Yeah, I consider it my job not only to fire myself from all the jobs, but also to make Authentic Brand the best case study in our own philosophy so that clients can look to us and see that we, drink our own champagne and that it works. So here's some of the ways that we put.
That's much better than what I'd say. Eat your own dog food, which is like terrible. I don't know who the hell came up with that, but I'm going to use that instead.
Yeah, good.
Tequila. Drink your own tequila because I like tequila.
Drink your own tequila. Yes, you do you. But so first and foremost, we put our methodology to work at Authentic Brand. So we use our own tools. Every year, I put together a new framework within our marketing roadmap, and we iterate on that quarterly through using our own workshops and mechanisms to do that. We activate our ally network. Part of our mind share, I talked about our three uniques are marketers, methodology, mind share. Our mind share not only brings our CMOs together to learn and grow and solve problems, but it includes a curated network of over 30 agency and freelance providers who are the ninjas of execution on topics like SEO, PPC, e-commerce, digital, web development, creative, copywriting, all the things businesses need to actually do and make and organize to execute on marketing. We've cultivated relationships to refer partners to help support and drive that impact for our clients. So I use our ally network. I have 4 allies that I work with, and I am the fractional CMO for our own company. And together they create a team that executes on our program. And it's my job as the fractional leader of our marketing program to integrate their efforts so they truly work as a team. And they're all incredibly generous, collaborative people and agencies that do. So it's a way for a small business, because we are still our own small business, to operate a marketing function with a team of 5 to 6 cross-discipline experts and get all the value out of that without having to hire 6 full-time roles to do that. So that's part of how we live our case study. The other part is that we want to be seen as, and we want to actually be innovative in how we drive growth for our business. And I think we've done that. Our brand is actually bigger than our business. And that's not usually true for most companies at this stage. Usually at this stage, a lot of forming businesses would say that they're the best kept secret, right? We're the opposite of that. We're a well-known contender in this space, and we're growing into our brand. And we always want to be in that position where the brand has expanded and we get to grow into it because of that growth of awareness. So we're fortunate that because of our commitment to great content and events, and now building a community, that our brand has gone out before us, and we actually have grown and reached all of our growth goals. We'll grow by 75% this year, 100% through inbound leads and referrals that come out of the goodwill and the great content programs that we put out into the world.
What is the one driver of that? Like the one channel you've tapped into that's bringing, that many inbound opportunities for you?
Well, there's not just one. If you were to look at the pie, because we do
Just give me one, the top one. Just give me the top one.
Oh my goodness. Well, the top one is growing because content was our top one. And referral networks supported by our content program. So it started off, let me back up, Connor.
Mm-hmm.
In the first 3 years, referrals was our top channel because it was Jennifer Zick's network and everybody who knew her, right? But like all good entrepreneurial businesses, you get to a point where simply the people who knew you then aren't going to drive your business forward. So the second layer, phase 2, was content. We started producing great content day one and committed to continuing that investment, and still do. That started to drive a lot of organic search results our way. Not
so SEO,
but the big driver of leads, but they're usually less qualified, right, than a referral. So higher quantities, lower qualification. Right now, the biggest channel that's creating amazing momentum for us is the community we've been building for 2 years. I'm a big believer in creating goodwill through offering something of value to your ideal buyers and their influencers, but not selling them anything. Mm-hmm. Simply being generous. And generosity is one of our core values, so it fits really well. So for us, 2 years ago, we started a community that was designed specifically for second in command business leaders. So folks like myself who are CEOs have access to a lot of peer groups and forums, including EO, Vistage, which I participate in, Strategic Coach. There's a lot of great options available. But COOs, or the people presidents, general managers, those in second command roles, have not had those kind of peer-to-peer forums. And they have one of the highest pressure, loneliest, hardest jobs in every organization. They have to deal with the visionary CEOs and then bring that to life through building a business, right? So we created a community for second in command leaders. And initially I thought it was just going to be something we offered regionally here, hosted at our office in person. But the first meeting was scheduled in April of 2020. It got COVID squished, so we postponed for a month and then launched it virtually. And now it's a community of over 1,200 second in command leaders around the globe, 48 states and 20 countries. Mm-hmm.
Do you meet like once a week, once a month, or quarterly?
We meet once a month for a 90-minute, very interactive session. Every monthly meeting sees around 175 registrants from, like I said, all around the globe. And the format of that meeting is it's free to attendees. They're all qualified by being, second in command leaders. Free to attendees. It's a powerful 90 minutes of just 15 minutes of guest presentation on a topic that's relevant for that audience. And then an entire hour in small group breakout rooms of about 8 people, each with a professional business coach facilitator, where they bring their issue to the table and in a confidential environment are able to help one another through experience share. So it's a very rewarding program to host and to have offered to the world. And as you can imagine, out from that, we build friendships and trust and gratitude.
100%.
Yes. And all of that then turns into top of mind awareness. We don't even talk about fractional CMO. We don't talk about marketing. We talk about their issues, and we get to give them the gift of hospitality, bringing them together. And so they think of us when marketing hits their issues list. And then that brings us business, which is a blessing.
Yeah. Without even hearing how you're doing it, I just kind of stumbled upon the same concept and thought, and it's powerful. Like no matter what your business or your industry, you don't have to create an association specific to like your clients or have just your clients, because the referral power is that much stronger. And, I've done masterminds over the years, some paid, some not, some very heavily paid for and invested into. But I launched my own community at the beginning of this year. We call it B2b Mentors Club. And same concept. Like, I felt a lot of lower level marketing positions and also CMOs and kind of just in the marketing suite were just like very lonely. A lot of the marketing associations were just like other, just purely marketers versus kind of an array of different people within the marketing suite. And so it brought them together, and it's only been 3 months, and I can't even begin to express to you like what's happened as a result of just putting that together. And it's free. I
know. It's amazing. During COVID, one of the other things we launched in partnership with 2 other friends in the ecosystem that have marketing influence, one as a recruiter, one as a CMO, and Authentic Brand as a team of CMOs. We recognized really early in the pandemic that marketers were under extreme pressure. Like never before have we had to reinvent our story or go-to-market approach, or the whole strategy went out the door. All the events we were planning to, everything got, completely turned upside down. And it was scary. It was scary for everybody everywhere. But, our opportunity was to bring marketers together. So we created a community called Marketers Sanctuary. And we just invited any marketer to jump on this call with us once a month. And we followed us kind of a similar format of sharing and small group breakouts. And it was such a high value, even though it wasn't a permanent, like we wrapped it up at the end of about 18 months of hosting it, and everybody was kind of back on their feet and in their own path again. But it was such a moment in time to build goodwill and like to meet each other in that moment and just be together. And while I have missed during COVID, I've certainly missed the human to human, like 3-dimensional be in person together time that I love and I crave as an extrovert. I'm so grateful that technology has given us new ways to reach more people and connect more people, and that's becoming a kind of a mainstay channel to build community. It's much more equitably accessible.
100%. So with that, Jennifer, anything top of mind, focus you want to touch on before we wrap up here?
Gosh, we've covered a lot of ground today. I would just invite any listeners who are interested in helping to continue to foster growth in their organizations, or any marketers who imagine a future in consulting and think fractional CMO sounds really great. Please just tune into Authentic Brand. We create a ton of content through our webinar series, our podcast, partnerships, our blog, and our guides to help continue in your growth as marketers, and also to equip you with content that's really written to speak to your CEO and your executive team to help them understand the investment that marketing deserves, requires, and the time it takes to move a brand strategy forward. So we hope we can be a resource center for you to build your career and also to help you accelerate in your organization. And our ally network, which I mentioned earlier, of 30 plus agency and freelance partners, that is another free service we offer to the community to be a matchmaker. Our allies never mark up their rates, and they never you're never obligated to use them. We do have a channel partner relationship with them, and are happy to help make introductions to resources that help you accelerate.
Appreciate it. Jennifer, thank you so much. What and best way for people to find you and follow you?
Yes, LinkedIn is an awesome channel for that. I'm on LinkedIn daily. If you look up my name, Jennifer Zick, I should hopefully appear in the search results. You can also find us through authenticbrand.com, through our contact form, or any multitude of ways to reach out through the site.
Jennifer Zick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow her. Go check out authenticbrand.com. Jennifer, stick around for one quick second here while we wrap up. And for the rest of you, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share this episode with someone you love. I guarantee you there is at least that one little golden nugget that you can get out of this that can completely revolutionize the way that you're going about your marketing, your branding, growing your business. Don't forget to come check out our free mastermind as well, B2b Mentors Club, activeblogs.com/live event. If you're a marketer, you want to get around other marketing executives, business celebrities, and great people and mentors like Jennifer, Come check that out. Much love to you, my friends. Make it great. And I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.